Hello, and thank you for joining me again in another episode of Shop Solutions. In this video, I'm going to be building a cabinet for this lathe to sit on, and I want to do that for a few reasons. One of which, this is one of the last things in my garage that is not on casters, so that'll allow me to do that. Second, it'll give me that much more storage space for my chisels and the tools that go along with the lathe. And third reason I want to build a cabinet for this, you might be able to tell that this lathe is not quite my height. It's actually it's taller than it should be for me. Because Powermatic apparently thought that nobody under 6 foot was going to use this, but that's okay. It's a very nice lathe. Lathe height is important. Rule of thumb that I've been seeing is the center of your spindle should be even with your elbow if you're standing straight. Bend your elbow 90 degrees. That's about where the center of your spindle should be. And you can see I'm a few inches short of that, and I'm not going to be able to cut these legs down, so I'll just build a new cabinet. Ideally, you want to be able to have the butt of your chisel on your hip for stability. You can see here I'm in kind of an upward angle, so for me to get this at a good angle, my elbow ends up being way up here. After a while, really fatiguing. Also, if you're too low, you end up bending over and that bothers your back. But if the spindle is even with your elbow, it's a nice working height. Also, this is a rather heavy and very sharp implement, and a chunk of wood can be considerably heavy. I don't want either of these things right in front of my face if they don't need to be. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the cabinet because it's very basic. It's just 4 pieces, sides, top, and bottom, and a solid 1/4 inch plywood back. That's important for rigidity of any cabinet. I've rabbited the top and bottom so the sides fit into the length. Overall, even with this 2x4 frame on each end, this cabinet's about 1/2 of an inch longer than the lathe bed. The reason I did that, none of this cabinet is going to be supporting any weight. It's also the reason I did this frame. All this is 2x4s that I ran over the joiner a few times to make it look nice. All of the weight of that lathe bed is going to be sitting on the ends. So all of that weight is transferred down straight to the casters. I've got, I think they're 250 pound capacity full locking casters, the swivel lugs and the wheel lugs. The importance behind this is if you need to just build a plywood cabinet to support a 600 pound lathe, it's going to have to be pretty beefy. But with this, it looks nice. It's very functional. And again, you could put pegboard there if you wanted to. Well, we got the lathe on the cabinet, and look at the difference that few inches made. It was actually like 4.5 inches or so. It almost looks too low, but if you look now, with the butt of the chisel on my hip, that's a nice straight, even angle. It's comfortable. It feels like a nice height. If I want to later, after I use it for a little bit, if I decide it needs to be higher, all I have to do is slip a piece of plywood under each end of it, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1/4 inch, whatever I need to do. So let's go on to building the drawer. I wanted to show you real quick my method of making drawers. I know there's a lot of different videos out there on making drawers, but I haven't seen any videos yet. I actually haven't searched any on how I like to do it. I like to use just a simple tongue and groove joint. If you can see it there with the light bouncing off of it. Basically all this groove is the kerf of the blade with the fence set from this side of that line, the thickness of your wood. And then when you cut this tongue, you want to get that as close to that blade's width as you can. With the height of your blade, you'll actually cut it like that. And just leave it as long as a blade width, basically. And then they'll fit together just like that. It's a nice sturdy joint once it's glued, and it helps keep your drawer sides in line while you're trying to brad nail it. This may not be the perfect joint for fine furniture, but for shop made stuff like this thing behind me, it saves a lot of time. It's a strong joint. and I haven't had any problems with it really. So I thought I would let you check that out. Okay, so I finished my drawer. It's the full length of the cabinet and about 20 inches deep. Actually, it's about 18 inches deep because I'm not using full extension drawer slides. With all the more weight that's going to be in here, I didn't think that was really necessary. This is so shallow because all I plan on having in here really is the chisels for the lathe and the few tools, wrenches, the things that go with the lathe like that. So I'm not going to stop at that because obviously I don't want chisels and tools rolling around in here. So now we're going to get to the fun part of the project. Okay, so what I've done here is got a piece of wood, the depth of my drawer, and what I've done is drilled some holes in it, a little bit bigger than the size of the handles on my chisels. And what I'm going to do now is cut this right down the center with my bandsaw. The reason I want to use a bandsaw is because the curve of the blade is minimal. If I did this on the table saw, it would leave a much wider gap. What I'm going to end up with is a bunch of half circles. And I want as much cradle in there as I can get so my chisels don't fly out of there.
Hey dog, quit barking at me. Hey dog, quit barking at me. You'll never see this face again. My work to do, my money spent. So hey dog, quit barking at me. Hey lady, you lost your pearls. Hey lady, you lost your pearls. And if you point your finger one more time, I might haul off and lose my mind. Hey lady, I don't have your pearls. Hey dog, quit barking at me. Hey dog, quit barking at me. You'll never see this face again. My work is through, my money spent. So hey dog, quit barking at me.
Here you can really see what I'm talking about those little half circles being in those pieces. That keeps the chisels from rolling around. And I also drilled a smaller hole for the slide hammer to knock the spur out of the spindle. And you can see I still have about half of the drawer left to do other things. I could have a dozen chisels in there if need be. But on that other side I'm just going to divide it up for the other tools, the live ends, and things like that goes with the lathe. Here you can see the finished drawer interior. This part here actually has its own floor to it of 1/4 inch plywood, and then all those dividers are glued in. If you do something like that, I highly recommend do not glue that into the drawer. I only put mine in with a couple of brad nails just to keep it from sliding around because I still have all that space and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I still have room for a few more chisels. I'm just starting out turning, so that's actually all the stuff that I had as of yet. Well, here's the finished cabinet. At least it's finished for now because I'm not sure what I want to do with this space under here. I'm thinking about just leaving it open and just keep stuff under there like this. I might put my grinder under there for sharpening the chisels. It just seems like it'd be nice to have everything all in one place, which is the whole point of doing things like this. I've taken some 1x or a piece of 1x and cut 1/4 inch strips off of it and glued around the face of the cabinet to make it look a little bit more appealing. And in the shop, I like to use Lawan for my drawer faces. You can find really nice looking Lawan. It has a really nice grain pattern and it stains really well. It's really not a bad wood, and it's inexpensive. It's like $12 a sheet, so you really can't go wrong in the shop. I use it in my house sometimes. The handle is just a 1x piece of pine, which I actually got out of the scrap box. I use those a lot because you just 45 the top and bottom of them, get a nice hand hold on it, and they look nice, so that's easy to do. If you are an average height person, or at least taller than I am, and you have a similar lathe that came with legs that brought it up as high as it did, and you want to keep the legs, all you have to do if you want storage is build a cabinet that's not as wide as this and just roll it underneath it. You can have a drawer in it, a couple drawers, whatever. Keep all your stuff right there. And also, you can build this to your height. You just got to figure out what your height requirement is for the cabinet and then deduct the height of your casters. I built this to the lowest that I would possibly need it, and if I need to raise it up, I can just slip plywood under the ends like I mentioned earlier. So that's even better because I can clean the dust up from underneath it. See, the way this is, I'm going to have to stick a vacuum hose down in the bed, but that's okay. But I really hope that this gave you some ideas. I hope that something that I went over here inclined you to do something to organize your shop. And it was a lot of fun to build. I can't wait to actually try it out now. So until next time, I'll see you later.